if we can work together. So Datasphere goes Pan-African, and then also they go Pan-African and also increase their followers and subscribers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the quest to talk about money, I was like, okay, there are some female experts. One of them has my same exact name. When you shared the poster, Valentine, did anybody come at you like, is this a typo?
Everyone, and people loved the double take. I was like, and like, even look alike. Are you related? Which I'm like, so, not all Njoroges are related.
So can I confess, I was actually like, why would she say yes to working with me? I think she'd say no, because I just thought, because mine is a media brand,
mm-hmm.
I thought you'd be like, maybe I don't want to associate myself with that.
Mm-hmm.
Or be swallowed up, because media is loud. Media is a loud space. So I was like, she say yes. And then a very close friend of mine called Amina was like, Valentine, you're in your head. Call her, reach out, see what she says. If she says no, fine, you move on, you find somebody else. If she says yes, fantastic. So I was like, okay. I'm sending the DM. And then yes, so thank you for that. Thank you.
No worries, it's a pleasure.
So let me throw some words at you instead of doing a typical intro, and then you can tell me what that means.
Okay.
Oxford University.
That's the school I attended for my MBA just 3 years ago now. The time has flown.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. She was at Oxford University just 3 years ago. Okay. Morgan Stanley, what's that?
Morgan Stanley is my first employer. So I spent a little bit of time there working in their investment banking and their wealth management fields in New York. So I'm a Wall Street girl.
Wall Street girl. Okay. So we're out of Africa now. We've been to Oxford in the UK. We've been to Morgan Stanley is New York, isn't it?
New York, yeah, in the US.
Okay, so we've been in the States, and then $10 million funds.
So $10 million is the minimum that we used to take for our clients at Morgan Stanley. So my job was to work with these, billionaires in Kenyan shillings, and tell them what to do with their money, really, and find investment opportunities for them to keep growing their wealth. So that's where my love for money really started.
So the people with money hire money experts to continue to grow their wealth. Like, your job is make me richer. That's the JD.
Literally. And save some taxes while you're at it.
I'm saved. Not just making money, but also saving. Okay, I love it. And so that was your job. So then what is Africa's Pocket?
So Africa's Pocket is, the culmination of a pretty long journey. So like I mentioned, started out at Morgan Stanley, but I really wanted to come back home. And one of the things that happened when I came back is, in the same field of wealth management, it's just a completely different ballgame. In the US, you have these ultra rich people. There's a lot of generational wealth. There's a lot of products that are available for investment. But you come home and, in wealth management, we are now managing, even $1 million shillings, which is $10,000 compared to $10 million. Like, there's such a huge gap. So I went on a quest to just figure out how to solve this problem. I landed at Centum, which is an investment company in Nairobi. And there I worked with a lot of tech companies to invest in them. So the two worlds have come together. The idea of managing money and the idea of technology have come together to create Africa's Pocket, which is a financial education platform. And our goal is to help Africans learn about their money, plan out their money, and act on it. So eventually invest in several opportunities to grow their wealth.
So basically, it's like, I come to Africa's Pocket because I want to invest. You don't have a minimum, do you? It's not like New York, where it was like a minimum of 10 million. You don't have a minimum.
No, so we're not yet offering investment products. What we're doing is teaching you about them, because we wanted to offer these products to people, but we realized people don't even know what a money market fund is to begin with. So how can you invest correctly if you don't know what's available? So Africa's Pocket is a financial education. So we teach you about the different options available to you, and in about 6 months to a year, we'll be able to offer you those investments as well.
Okay, so you teach money markets, unit trusts, insurance products, like education things, which for a while ago were a very big thing for parents. Like, do you have an education fund for your child? Okay, then so should I go with real estate? Should I do stocks?
Exactly.
The buzzword in Nairobi for a while has been forex. You could make money with foreign exchange. So you guys then demystify what that is.
Exactly. So we'll help you really understand what it is and if it's right for you. Because for one person, forex is great. For another person, it's not. So we help you figure out if it's right for you based on just what your life is like at the moment.
So you're Val the money chick, and I'm Val the media chick.
I love it.
I like that. Okay. So then women make some very key mistakes. Women make some very key mistakes. What are some of our key mistakes that we make? Let's start, because that is the point, and I know we started late and you have to go. So what are some of, I want us to go through that. I don't want to miss it. Yeah. Like number one key mistake we make.
So the first big mistake that we make as women is that we save a lot, but we don't invest that money meaningfully. And so you find a situation where...
Pause. I want you to adjust your camera just a little bit so we see more of your shoulders.
Is that better?
Okay. Perfect. And then make sure you're in the middle.
Okay. So some media training right here.
It was for me. I used to leave too much headroom over here. Yeah. So, okay. So one mistake women make
is we save, but we don't invest. So that money sits in an account or under the mattress or wherever, but it's not, and we're not enjoying the benefits of compound interest. And that has several implications. It means you must work much harder to get the same amount of money after a lot of time. So it affects your retirement, for example, because this is a financial goal that's usually very far away. So let me give you an example. If you are a 25-year-old and every single month you save 5,000 shillings, every single month you're saving 5K, and you're saying this is one day for retirement. You'll probably
like 50.
Yeah, $50. So you'll probably end up, or let's actually do the maths together.
Okay.
So my calculator. So you have 5,000 shillings, you're 25 years old. So you'll retire in 65 minus 25 in 40 years, right?
Yes.
So you will have saved 2.4 million shillings, which is $240,000. Sorry, $240,000. But if you invest that money, it could become 50 million shillings, which is, $500,000. So saving.
This is a drastic change. Yes. So the saving could become what again?
So let's do it again. Let's go slowly. You have $50 every month. So times 12 months, that's $600 a year.
Right.
And then let's say that you're putting this money away for 10 years. So until you're 35. Let's keep it simpler, right? So you now have $6,000 after 10 years, which is not much, right?
Yes, okay.
But if you invest that money, the same $50, same amount, so you're still having $50. Let me just open up the calculator. And you invest it, let's say, in a government T-bill, and you're earning 10% every year, and you keep it for the same 10 years, you will have, let me just do that math for you quickly. Yeah, you will have 50 million shillings, thereabout.
So $500,000.
Yeah, at retirement. So the power of investing is so huge, but we don't do it because of many reasons. We don't know, or we're scared, or we're waiting for tomorrow, or we're risk averse. And that's the biggest mistake that women make, because it means when you retire, you have such little money.
Sometimes it sounds like mumbo jumbo. It's like, what? Why does it, how does it become this? What is this? Why would somebody just give me interest? Like, what are you talking about? So, okay, so there's a need for education, which is where Africa's Pocket comes in. Okay, so we save, we don't invest, and we miss out on the benefits of compound interest. Okay, mistake number one.
So that affects our retirement, which I think is the biggest takeaway here, because retirement is important for women for a few reasons. First is that a lot of women die single, so you survive your spouse most of the time. So you need a lot more money for retirement because obviously you don't have an income, but you're living much longer than what is sort of being predicted. And second, we earn much less throughout our careers because we have children. And then, of course, there's already a wage gap. So you're already at a disadvantage. Then you have children and you take, 2 to 3 years a bit slower. So the amount of money that you lose out on is ridiculous, and you have to compensate for it somehow. And investing is the number one way that you could do that.
Okay. So the gender wage gap stands as it does.
Yeah.
And you might take time off, which also means a lack of career growth.
Exactly.
So that's something else to compensate for. And investments allow you to kind of play catch up with those gaps.
Yeah.
Perfect. With retirement, there's also healthcare, right? A lot of us, many people, not just women, retire with, diabetes, high blood pressure. There's some kind of something to deal with health-wise during retirement.
Yes.
So you need money to cushion you, especially in African markets, because we don't have healthcare. We don't have the kind of healthcare that's like, if you get cancer, we'll pay all your bills. Yeah,
exactly. You have to pay out of pocket, and that stuff, it makes people go bankrupt quite literally. It's extremely expensive. So we definitely need to think a little bit more long term and think about your life 40, 50 years from now, not just next year.
Okay, or even 5 years from now. Okay. So another mistake. What's mistake number 2? Because now retirement is a consideration, right? Not really like a mistake. Or is it a mistake that we make when we don't consider retirement?
Well, I think the mistake is really that we don't invest as much as we should. And the implication is that, it has all these other effects. The biggest one, in my opinion, being retirement. I think another huge mistake that we make as women is kind of related, but we're not necessarily thinking about building generational wealth. So the kinds of investments we're making are very, let me go buy that piece of land and sell tomatoes next week. But are you thinking about, am I going to pass this down to my children? Are you thinking about building the kind of assets that can survive you?
Oh, I like that. Assets that can survive you.
Yeah.
Arese from Nigeria, I read her book and I interviewed her a while ago, and she was saying women save to spend.
Exactly.
And one of those things is we don't save to leave to somebody, or even to invest so somebody can inherit. We don't think generationally. We think, I save for school fees, I save for a trip, that kind of thing. Okay, fine. Assets that can survive you. I like that. Okay.
And then
these are tweetables. These are such tweetable things. Okay.
And I think the final thing is we're not talking to each other enough. And that's something that, that's one very, very practical thing that we can do that can really, solve both of these last two problems I talked about. So I know when we were chatting, you were saying, for example, your friends, really pull you in when you're making investments and things like that. But you find that women, we tend to shy away from having money conversations. There are very few women who know how much their friends earn, or when they got a raise, or what they're investing in. So it's kind of this black box of money that you have to deal with alone. And, already we don't have information. So if we hide the little we have.
I think I told, so, okay, for the audience, Val and I chatted, and I was telling her how I have learned so much from my girlfriends when it comes to money. And first of all, I was stunned at how little I was making in comparison with my girlfriends. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, we're going on trips. We're eating in the same places. Clearly, somebody is overspending, and that person with me. And then, so then we started talking really, like, what are you guys investing in? What's going on? And a lot of my friends are lawyers and money chicks, as I call them, because they're in the VC world, they're in investment, they're in banking. So my friends are like legal minds. We have very interesting debates. And then they're money chicks. So, and I'm an entrepreneur. But yeah, I can't even highlight the value of talking with your friends enough, because they'll tell you where to invest. They'll tell you what they're doing. And also they'll wake you up to even what's available in the market in terms of pay.
Yes. And I think that's the biggest benefit, because, not everybody has friends like yours who are, well-versed in law or finance. And actually, that's one of the bigger problems when it comes to financial literacy. A lot of the information we get is from family and friends, and it's very anecdotal. So it's a lot like, oh, me, I did this and it worked, so come and do it also, which doesn't necessarily always translate, because our circumstances are different. Someone could have 3 kids, you could have none. Or someone could be earning a lot, you could be earning in, a majority of your money in shares or bonuses or whatever. So copying and pasting is not necessarily always great. And you're super blessed to have people who are qualified, so they can explain these things to you, and they can give you advice that's backed by expertise. But I think when it comes to pay, especially, women should talk to each other way, way more often, because it makes a lot of a difference. Because you can negotiate, it makes a huge difference.
Talk to each other about pay. And also, don't take everybody's advice. That's what I'm hearing, because not everybody is knowledgeable. So listen to your knowledgeable friends and family, not like your random, I buy a t-shirt.
Oh, now we're doing M-Pesa. All of us, let's go do M-Pesa shops. So all of us, let's go do potatoes. No. It's not.
Remember the quail eggs in Kenya when we were all doing quail eggs? A mess. But okay, fair enough. So check out for knowledgeable sources of information, and then talk to each other about pay.
Yeah.
And okay, I like that. Okay, another mistake. I'm waiting for you to say, guys. I'm waiting for you to bring up the men.
Tell me what you're thinking.
I see women, myself included, and my brother made fun of me for this. I think I was probably like 28 or something, and he was like, "Can you stop waiting for some guy to rescue you?" And I was like, "What do you mean? I'm an independent woman, da da da." But he wasn't wrong, right? My brother and I are a year apart. Like, he's known me forever. He's known me all my life. And he was just like, "Where are your investments? Where are your savings? Like, what is your financial plan? Do you have one?" And he was right. At the time, it was kind of like, "See, I'll get married and we will click. We'll create the thing together. We'll do it together." Which I'd like to say I was a dumb chick, but we are many in that category. I'm not alone. I think you know what
I do know what you mean. And it's so easy to fall into that role of let him be the leader of our money, or let me wait for someone and then we do it together. But you're right. Yeah, you should independently have a financial plan for your life. And then add on to someone else's if you choose to go that route of getting married.
Independent financial plan. Okay.
And yeah, when they come together, you can have economies of scale or whatever, but you're right, it should be 2 different plans coming together, not you waiting to join someone else's plan.
jump on someone's bandwagon like, you're doing what? Ooh. Let's do this together.
There was a very, very interesting conversation happening on Instagram on someone's profile where she asked a question about what dumb things have you done when it comes to money and men. And something that I found interesting is so many women are supporting boyfriends, not even partners or husbands, boyfriends who are sort of waiting to get to their dreams, waiting to get to their potential. So they're supporting their lifestyle right now, buying bottles and paying for fuel and things like that, as they wait for this guy to catch up. And I think, that's another thing that we fall into sometimes, right? As independent women, you can feel like, oh, I'm independent, it's fine, let me wait for him. But I don't think you should jeopardize your own financial plans to support someone else's lifestyle.
Oh, say that again. I don't think I should support what?
You should jeopardize your own financial plans to support somebody else's lifestyle.
Because women do this, right? And we've been told it's the supportive woman, right? Like, oh, wife material. So you meet a guy, he says he wants to start a business or he wants to go back to school, and you kind of find yourself putting your own dreams in check, on pause. Yes, like, oh, let's invest in his business. Let's invest in him doing his master's. Let's invest, and he's a boyfriend.
Imagine.
With women who've taken loans for boyfriends.
Yeah, and I mean, I've also met on the flip side women who will not pay for their partner's education because they're like, this degree is your degree, it's in your name, it's not in our name, right? So it's something I think that we should really think twice before doing. Even if
is that something African women should consider? I know in the US, like if you're with somebody during their legal degree, their medical degree, stuff like that, once they graduate, even if you get divorced, if you were supporting them financially, you get a part of the degree in terms of alimony or spousal support because you invested in that person. Mm-hmm. And you could have invested in a money market or mutual fund or something else. Or you could have just gone on holiday. Either way, it's your money and you chose to invest in this guy or this woman. And they went on and got their law degree. She's now a lawyer. She's now a surgeon. But in Africa, do you know of any, this is kind of outside of your purview, but do you know any legal system that acknowledges spousal support during a degree as an investment?
I haven't seen it, and I know the act that I know is the Kenyan Marriage Act, and it doesn't really count. I mean, it's very difficult to prove that, this degree and the future earnings and whatnot will, that you supported it, and so you should get a portion of future earnings. I don't know. I think it depends on your relationship, honestly speaking. If you, and I personally believe in prenups, so that if you are getting married to somebody like
mistake number.
Get a prenup because even in the situation where you're building a business with a partner and they're not full-time and
you're breaking.
Can you hear me? I think there's something wrong with the connection.
Is it really that breaking up or is it, you have to come back and you have to say that again. You said, I believe in prenups, and then the net got kind of funny. So please repeat.
I was saying I think prenups are so important because it really helps you figure out, what everyone's bringing to the table and how they get compensated in case the relationship doesn't work. And that's something that I think as African women, not willing to think about is relationships, not like ending in divorce, which to me is not necessarily a failure. Sometimes success is divorcing the person, but you need
I like that. Sometimes success is divorcing the person.
You need to protect your mind and your money and your time. So that was a bit of a caveat, but prenups are a thing we should do and be more open to, I think.
Okay. So you're a fan. I actually think a lack of financial conversation when you're dating is an indication of potential failure.
Yeah.
I also think lack of a prenup, especially when you've been working for a while. It used to be that African women got married really young to really young men. And so his financial beginning was your financial beginning. So this whole financial plan, you were already, tied up together. And now that we're getting married, years into our careers and we're partnering with people years into our careers, I think it's irresponsible
Yeah.
to get married without a prenup.
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
I mean, I agree. I think it also depends on your jurisdiction because you could use several different instruments, but there needs to be a clear plan of how you deal with finances, both in good times and in bad times. I've seen couples who put everything they own together into companies, which is a bit neater than a prenup. There's other ways to do it, but the key is make sure that you're having a conversation and it's clear.
Okay. You're breaking up.
Still.
Mm-hmm. No, you're breaking up. Okay. So we've got people saying, okay, now it's clear. You are breaking up. I don't know if it's your net or mine, but I'm loving content. I'm loving what you're saying so far. Steve, Valentine, come back.
I think there's a very big lag in connection. What can we do?
There is. There you are. There's a woman who says, Steve Kanda, who says, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I honestly feel so exposed as a woman. I have made all these mistakes. That mentality of wanting to be looked after, we need to learn how to go big. Oh, thank you for being so honest. I love that comment because I've made that mistake. I don't know.
I've made it too. I've definitely made that mistake as well. Like, it's very natural. It's our culture. So it takes unlearning,
There's something we discussed about being punished for being too economically successful or financially independent, right?
It's true, and it's you're shamed literally for being, that boss babe. You're told, hey, you're reading too much. You're going to do your MBA. Will you find a husband? How many people have been asked that?
I've been told, and so far it's been true, that hey, those media chicks, they don't get married.
You're told.
Gosh, you're too intimidating. Like someone thinks about you and you're meeting all these politicians and you talk to CEOs, and I'm like, okay, and so
yeah.
conversation with a CEO. But yeah, I think there's a thing there about wanting to punish women for reaching high success, career-wise, financially.
Yeah.
Is that a mistake that we make where we play a small game?
I don't know how to answer this question because I personally really struggled with this in terms of what's really the balance, right, between the thing, because I wanted to get married, I wanted to have that relationship, I wanted to do these things, right? And then on this other hand, there's all this societal pressure. And I think eventually the thing that happened was I had to very clearly define the kind of man I wanted to be with, and he couldn't be intimidated by these things. And then he himself also had to be confident enough to defend and celebrate these things in society so that I feel comfortable as well. So I think the mistake is in, definitely there's a mistake in dumbing yourself down or toning yourself down. But
just when I was going to...
Why is this happening? Oh no.
Just when I was going to dive in and ask you, so you and your partner are...
Sorry?
No.
What is going on? I am losing you, Valentine.
Okay, we can't hear, but just in case you're joining.
Hello.
Wait, Val, stop. Stop. Yes, I've missed all that. I need you to repeat it because I also think it is money gold when it comes to relationships. Yeah, please repeat it. Please
Where did
repeat it. You're saying it was something that your partner had to deal with in terms of your success. And I was going to follow up now business partners. So how does that play out?
I am losing you? But I think you asked about
I can hear you, but there you are. Go on, go on.
fantastic. I really hope that these issues get resolved.
Okay, so we were talking about partners.
Mhm.
No, go on. Just say what you were saying. Let me shut up.
Okay, I would say that I think the mistake that we make is in dumbing ourselves down because the men are out there who are not intimidated by successful women, and I think the thing that we need to do better as women is define, like, realize that that's the kind of man you need and chase that man or look for that man. Because I was definitely looking for the wrong men. That's what was happening to me. And eventually my partner is my business partner as well, and he is excited by my success and he celebrates it in society, so I no longer feel like I need to hide it. He's sort of my coach, even cheerleader, if you want to call it that. So I think there's that. The bigger mistake is in not changing your idea of what kind of man you, or not staying with the standard of man that you need to support you when you're a successful woman.
Ah, nice, nice. I like that. I also like realizing that you're chasing the wrong guy, and this is where I want to go financially and with my life, and then dating accordingly. So
Yeah,
this financial plan is more than just money. It's also unlike it trickles into the rest of your life, right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's very difficult to talk about money without everything else, right? It all fits in. Earlier you were talking about health. If you're healthier earlier, your health bills later become much smaller. It's all connected.
Yes, that's true. Okay, so what's another mistake that we make? We've covered save and don't invest. We've talked about retirement and the wage gap and how investments can mitigate that.
Mhm.
Generational wealth. And somebody in the comments actually said, we don't think about generational wealth as Africans, and we need to start. And
Yeah,
then speaking to friends and getting them to be honest. Then independent financial plan, independent of your man, right?
independent of your man, of your children, of your parents.
Yeah, because we laugh in Africa about your children being your retirement plan.
Yeah, yes, and it's
And parents even laugh, this is my safety net, this is my retirement,
exactly.
this
Yeah,
is
like, this is my investment.
exactly. Okay, so get your own plan, chick. Get your own plan. Okay. And then you said get a prenup. I'm very interested in this prenup conversation, very interesting. And then mitigating, somebody in the comments said she feels very exposed as a woman.
Mhm.
Yeah, she said she feels very exposed as a woman. She's also asking, doesn't this investment stuff need a stable government? Stable government and stable economy. What do you say to that?
I think that something that we love to do as Africans is blame the government. But this is the situation you're in right now. You cannot not invest because you feel like things are unstable or you don't trust the president. It's still your future and your money. And it's your responsibility to kind of secure that. And our governments have their issues, but Africa is a growing frontier. It is going to be where everything is happening in the future. I mean, the statistics are incredible. When you think about in our lifetime, 40% of people who work in the world will come from Africa. 40%. We're the youngest group of people in the world. There's 1.2 billion of us. The opportunities are endless. So 40% of the workforce is going in about 30 years of, is it 50 years, is going to be African. 40%.
The world will be full of, I was going to say something else, but let's just say Black people.
Beautiful Black people.
Beautiful Black people. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. That's an exciting time. So we're raising our children for a world where they'll be
the majority. They'll be China. Africa will be the next China.
Okay.
So opportunities are there. You should invest. You should invest. And our governments are not as bad as we think they are. They pay their debts. So investing in a government T-bill, for example, in Kenya will pay you 9 to 13%, whereas in the US they're paying 2%. So there's an opportunity right there to invest almost risk-free and get 10 times the you'd get in another country. So
okay. I like that. There's also, I like what you're saying about other countries. So don't just get stuck, because it's true, some African countries are not the most stable to invest in. So think about investing in other places in the world and also within Africa.
Yes.
Then there's something Sapi is asking, which I love. It's about, so some of the comments are, Stay Kanda is saying it's quite dangerous at the girlfriend-boyfriend stage to support someone. Margie, is saying supporting him in the hope of getting a return in the future. That's dangerous. And then Sapi is asking about black tax, which is saying we don't want to succeed and we're scared to outclass our families, aren't we?
Is that okay? That's an interesting perspective.
So we feel a need. I don't know what the word is exactly, but you want to support your siblings. It's not always driven by love and even pride or whatever. Sometimes it's just driven by like a sense of guilt, almost like I made it and they didn't.
Yes, survivor's guilt.
Kind of, yes. I was just talking to a young woman a few days ago, and she was saying her brother's an alcoholic. Her and her sister have done really well, so they feel responsible for him. And so they're educating his children and kind of supporting him and his wife and whatever. But she's like, this thing is out of control now.
Yeah, black tax is such a big issue. And I think it's one of those nuanced pieces of context that Africans have to deal with that most of the rest of the world doesn't. So when I see, the other day I was listening to a podcast, I think Forbes or Wall Street Journal, and there was a lady who was talking about creating boundaries with her parents. They wanted her to help them buy a house or something, and she told them no. And I was like, that could never fly at home. It could never. People would shun you. You would be, excommunicated. You would be, if people do witchcraft, there would be witchcraft done on you. If you abandon your parents and let them be homeless, that's, it's so taboo. But I do think there is a place for those boundaries when it comes to...
Oh, because that's the question I was leading up to. So yeah, go on.
To an extent. And I think that one of the big
this net needs to behave. We are right there in the spiritual...
It will not let us...
No, wait, pause. Let's wait for the net to come back so you don't have to repeat yourself. But while we wait for Val's net, are you dealing with black tax, and have you found a way to cope with it?
Let me know when you can hear me.
Val, wait, you just to repeat. Sorry, I need you to repeat. That's why I was waving my finger like stop.
I can actually well.
Okay. I can hear you now. You were saying Africans have to deal with this and we need to create boundaries. How do we have those conversations? Because this is actually, especially when you're the oldest daughter,
Yeah.
or as we're seeing more and more in Kenyan homes, you're a single mom. Mm-hmm. So your own family feels like they can ask you for more. You know, you don't have a man to stand in the gap like, oh, you got married, therefore you belong to that family. So when you were to, so because when you were to, you are ours, now your salary is ours.
You know, I think that there are some tactics that are interesting to use early on, and I understand that people's contexts are very different, so the level of need is different. But the first thing is in creating a boundary is in having a budget for Black tax, and actually saying every month I'm going to put aside this much money, $100, $200, whatever, and that's what's available for the family, and communicating that to the family. And then the second thing is, if that's your full budget, if you have, let's say, a $200 budget, do not let all of it go to expenses. Put some of it aside to invest in some sort of asset that can then, produce that money. And I've seen many families where you have somebody who's ill. Let's say it's a parent, an older parent, and you have siblings. There's always a sibling who, has some issues. They never finished school, or they're not being able to get a job. And they come together and they invest in something like a shop. And this sibling manages the shop, and the shop produces the income that then pays the hospital bills. Obviously, this is a perfect world. but
what I like about what you're saying is you need to plan for it like it's not going away.
It's not, yeah.
You need to plan for it like it's a monthly expense, the way you would say it's like an extra rent or something. It's like, what do I have? This is something I do. It's a gift, whatever it is, benevolence. Actually, my sister has the term benevolence budget. She does, which I love. And so her and her husband decide on, this is our benevolence budget. Mm-hmm. So you need to budget your values.
Exactly.
Because there's somebody who will say, I don't care about family. I'll give them whatever I have, whenever I have it. If I ain't got nothing, you get nothing. If I got something, you get something. Yes. But for the person who's like, I actually want to take care of my parents, so budget for it.
Budget for it. And as you're budgeting for it, do not forget yourself, so that you do not become a burden to other people. And I always say that every budget should have your actual name as the first item. And that's like at Africa's Pocket, we teach that. We literally say, as you write it down, as you send it to a standing order, let it have your name. Let it say Valentine Njoroge's future, or Valentine Njoroge's retirement, whatever. And have the amount go, and let that be the first thing that leaves your account. Then everything else comes after. Because why are you paying a landlord and your internet and school fees before you pay yourself, and you're the one who worked?
I like that. Yeah. I really like that. Okay, so you should be first in line, retirement, blah, 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 whatever it is. And then, and then we should be realistic about our nails.
I mean, if the nails are not fitting in the budget, do your nails at home,
Really?
I think so. I mean, like you said, it depends on your values. Budget your values, right? If it's important.
Budget your values. So are there other mistakes we haven't covered? Because we're almost out of time. I can't believe it has gone so quickly.
I know, it's gone super, super quick.
It has.
Yeah, I think we, as women, taking control of our financial environment is so important. And the first thing is learn what's out there. What are the rules? What are the rules of the game? What's available to you? And then you start acting accordingly. Because there are so many things that we're taught from a young age that are not true about how we handle money. We're told we're bad with money. You're told you're bad at math. You're told money is for dad or for the man or whatever. So you need to unlearn so many of those things.
where you learn at a very early age. Oh, mom, I need this. We'll ask your father. Da 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 da. We'll ask your father. And I think some of that was a delaying tactic. Like they didn't want to answer us instantly, so they were like, "I need time to think." But instead of saying, "I need time to think," it was like, "We'll ask your father." But taught us that men are the money people.
Exactly. And we had this conversation and we had a chat about how typically the men in the house will handle the more serious bills, the rent, the school fees, the what, and then women are handling, groceries and internet and things that seem more basic, I guess.
And then they don't build your credit rating, for example.
Yeah, it really gets in your head. So take more control of your money. It's your money. You work. Every day you wake up, you work.
Okay.
Understand more of it. Understand how to keep more of it, and understand how to grow it.
Okay, I like that. This is all so much to take in. Before we finish, if I gave you $10,000, where would you put it?
I have a video that literally addresses how often I get this question and how difficult it is to answer this question, because it depends on so many things.
But I want to know where you would put it. Forget my needs and I have children, blah blah blah. I understand our lives are different, and you have to take into consideration a person's age, their earning capacity, what their expenses are.
Yeah.
You've taken us through that. You've taken us through that. But but still I want to know where you'd put it.
Yeah, so with that in mind and understanding that this is not financial advice, if you just give it to me like it was free money and therefore had no risk and no implication on my life, I would invest some of it in a very risky asset like cryptocurrency. Because it has the ability to double, triple, quadruple in value. And so I have a good chance of turning that 10,000 into 100,000. Who knows?
Okay.
So I put a big portion of it into those kinds of assets. Crypto, maybe I would play in Forex a little bit. Maybe I would play in NFTs, etc. And then I would take a smaller chunk of it, maybe 30% of it, and I would invest in technology startups in Africa.
Ooh. Tech startups in Africa. You heard it here first. This is where Valentine Njoroge would put her money. Okay, go on.
Yeah, that's what I'd do with the money because it's risk-free. There's no, if I lose it all, I'm exactly the same way I was before you gave me the money. If these things work out, I have 10, 20, 30 times more.
I get it. Because it's risk, you would take the highest risk.
Exactly.
Because it wouldn't actually cost you anything.
Exactly. But if it's money that I've worked hard for, I would take a very different approach.
What would that approach be? Go on.
If it's money that I've worked for, so let's say this is a bonus that I've gotten at work, I would first top up my emergency fund. So I keep my emergency fund at about a year of expenses. So I would bump that up to include something else like my car insurance or something of the sort. Then I would invest in an asset that can bring me some cash flow, which I would use for travel. Travel is one of the things that I want to do every single year. So I would invest maybe in a low-income housing unit, something that's about $5,000 that can generate a monthly income for me that I can accumulate and use that towards travel. So that would be taken out of my budget. That's what I would do with the money.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you do something super responsible, the emergency fund, and then the rest you would have some fun with it.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So things that make you smile, basically.
Exactly. Things that make your life better, enhance your life. Maybe I'll buy a business class ticket instead of economy.
There's something you said to me that really stuck with me. when we chatted last week, and that was never lose money.
Don't lose your capital. It is so expensive. It is so expensive to lose your capital because you lose all of the interest that money would have earned in the future. So
you also lose all the hours you worked, all the time, because I've lost capital. I've lost capital twice, actually. So when you said this, I was like, yo, I felt sucker punched. I was like, oh, all over again. I was like, I know what that is like.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It sets you back financially because when you're in financial recovery, you're now rebuilding your emergency fund. You're rebuilding everything, even your credibility, to be honest. So it's a very expensive thing to lose.
Yeah.
But many African women want to own a business. So how do we protect ourselves? How do we mitigate that risk of never lose your capital?
This is actually one of the mistakes we should have talked about, is the way we approach entrepreneurship is very interesting because we don't think about our business as an asset, as part of our investment portfolio, and we should. And so when you're an entrepreneur, your portfolio is so risky because you're working in the same thing that creates your wealth. Your job, your source of income is the same thing that also creates your wealth. And those two things generally are different. So the way you want to think about your life when you're an entrepreneur is saying, I want to start this business. I need this startup capital, let's say $10,000. How much money do I need still as an emergency fund for this $10,000 not to ruin me? Because you still need a cushion before that $10,000. So as an entrepreneur, your emergency fund should be even bigger before you get into it. And we're so bad because what we do is we say, let me take all my money and put it into this business.
Yes, that's what we do.
You should not do that. You should absolutely not do that.
Valentine, for real, forget even money. The last time I invested in a business and lost the whole thing, I didn't just invest my money. I invested every favor I could call in because I called everybody who could advertise in that newspaper. I called everybody who could introduce me to somebody who could advertise. You know what I mean? So I used not just my money, I used every network, every phone call, every contact, every relationship in my life went into that business.
It's expensive. And that takes me to my second point is, when you start a business, what's your salvage value? So if the business fails, what do you own? What asset do you have? And really understanding what that thing is so important. It is so important. Yeah. So let me give you a good example. My husband used to invest in bars. And with bars, you put your capital together, you buy furniture, you pay rent, and then now you buy stock and you advertise for people to come to the bar. When the bar closes, they close the door with the furniture inside it, which is a crazy thing about the bar industry. So when his first bar failed or closed, he went there and he asked himself, so what do I own here? Do I own for one of each, one of every 4 chairs? What do I own? And how do I get that money back, right? Because the cost of selling that furniture is so high. It doesn't make sense to even try. But when you think about a business that's built on real value, I guess, if you want to call it that, then in the case of your newspaper, the salvage value might have been that you've created a platform that you can then build something else on. So the next business that you start doesn't need for you to go and, buy a printing press and, hire a graphic designer and whatnot. You can use the same resources.
Not have a print press. But anyway, I get what you're saying. What are the assets that the business owns?
And not just the physical, things that you bought. It's what can you take from that business and put into another opportunity. What's that salvage value? Yeah. So I think that's something we don't think about when we're going into entrepreneurship. And then the third and final thing is, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to make sure you're getting paid for your time, because that's an investment into your business. And when you get paid, You take that money and to put it into less risky assets so that you can balance your portfolio.
Oh,
because your
entrepreneurs are not risk averse. Like that's why we become entrepreneurs. You're an entrepreneur.
yeah.
And the reason we end up in the entrepreneur space is because we're okay with risk.
Yeah, but
so
just because
you need to be safe, that's new. So I need to invest. Oh, so my investments should be in those T-bills.
Based on government bonds, T-bills, mutual funds.
Boring. That's how it sits for me, in the boring zone.
It's not boring, it's safe.
Okay, so in the safe zone, that's where we should be putting our money.
Yes, and it's very counterintuitive. I completely understand where you're coming from, because I'm the same way. Like I want to go and invest in the other business over here, and like I want to go and invest in Bitcoin. That's what I want to do.
But let me tell you, to currency, when we were finished with this phone call, I was going to be like, Valentine, tell me about cryptocurrency. Straight up, I have it in my notes. I was like, crypto.
It's very natural for you to want to do that, but you shouldn't do that. It's not worth the risk. At least not with a big portion of your portfolio.
So my risk is my business, and over here, play safe.
Exactly. Like balance it out, so you can predict what your portfolio is going to earn.
But if you're safe, like you've got a regular salary, you work in like some industry like banking, maybe you're in oil, Corona notwithstanding, everyone needs oil. Like, you know what I mean? If you're in one of those industries, so then you're the Bitcoin people when it comes to investing.
Not 100%. It just means that that person has more room in their pie. So think about your investment portfolio like a pie, and your risky assets should only represent, a slice of the pie.
Right.
So what entrepreneurship does is that it takes the whole pie, it takes that whole slice. So you don't have space for anything else. But, people who work and get an income from a salary can sort of experiment with more than one. They can cut that slice into smaller slices and experiment in more than one type of asset. So that's kind of the difference. But our portfolio should generally look similar in risk, regardless of where your income comes from. It's just that when you're an entrepreneur, you have less options, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. You have less risky options. You should be going more towards the safe, more predictable. Okay. Yeah. I've gotten so much out of this 1 hour with you. Thank you so much.
You are completely welcome. I'm very happy I love talking about money. I love it. So look for me on social media if you have more questions. We're at Africa's Pocket.
Yeah. Where do we find you on social media?
So Africa's Pocket is at Africa's Pocket everywhere, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Instagram is our most active platform. And I am val.njoroge with an underscore at the end.
Okay. We didn't even talk about how we've been mistaken for each other.
I know.
I put the poster up and so many people are like, I think there's something wrong with the poster. I was like, no, her name really is Valentine Njoroge. And then let me tell you who was catching feelings. My friends from uni, because I went to uni, State University of New York. Mm-hmm. They're like, yo, is this like a common name? Like, you're the only Valentine I know. What is this? And I was like, I don't own the name.
It was so funny when we started chatting and I was telling you how I thought, like you were telling me the same, that you thought Valentine was such a unique name. And then to find someone with exactly the same names, and then we also look alike, it's hilarious.
I walked into the bank like, my name is Valentine Njoroge. And the